Slowing down, research takes time and perspective. My New Year's resolution is to slow down and allow myself time to gain perspective. In my podcast, The Ignorance Podcast, I'm asking researchers to slow down and think about their research journey. I ask questions about their past, present, and future. This is both for the listeners to better understand research and for the researchers to have a chance to reflect on their careers. My goal is to help people slow down and take perspective. Research or diving deeply into something takes time and lots of perspective. The Ignorance Podcast questions include: Introduction. Please say your name and what is your favorite thing to do outside of work? What questions excite you in your work? What questions are you currently pursuing? How do you hope to impact the world? How have you impacted the world? Who has influenced you? Who are people you look up to? How do you know if you've been successful at your work and as a researcher? What is your evaluation criteria? What has been your most surprising result? What is your favorite disagreement? If you could do anything, not limited by grants or other factors in your space, what would you be doing? What is your vision for the world? What has changed in your life because of your research? What do you pay attention to more because of it? Introduction. Please say your name, your job title, and your field, and anything else you'd like to share. The idea and all of the questions for the Ignorance Podcast came to me when I was forced to slow down and take perspective. I woke up in the hospital at 6 p.m. on a Thursday, not knowing the day had occurred. My fiancé at the time, now husband, informed me that I had been in a bike accident that morning and had gotten a bad concussion. During the next few months, my focus was solely on healing and not overloading my brain. I needed lots of sleep and recovery time, which meant minimizing my workload and all stress. All my research came to a halt, and the one class I taught took all of my energy each day. Computer screens were overstimulating, and so my husband, very nicely, read all my emails to me and transcribed everything for me. I couldn't even watch television to relax like I used to. When my energy was drained, I would lie on the floor in a dark room like my office after teaching, or my bedroom at home after a long day. During this floor time, my brain finally had time to wander, and the entire idea of the Ignorance Podcast and all of its questions spilled out of me. Thankfully, my husband was there to write all of it down because my memory was greatly affected by the concussion. A year later, and after a lot of recovery and introspection, I finally recorded my first episode of the podcast using the questions exactly as they came out of my concussed brain while lying on the floor. I'm grateful for that time and the reflection, if not for the traumatic brain injury. Note, please do not try this at home. I had the space and time to rethink my life, my priorities, my family, my stressors, and my career. I'm early in my research career, and this experience of slowing down and taking perspectives informs how I learn and think about research in life. I research researchers, and through this podcast, I'm still learning how to research. It is on us as researchers to step up and communicate what we work on and why people should care. I truly believe that all my podcast guests are changing the world for good. In light of slowing down, here are some of my working theories on research. One theory is that researchers can answer all the questions in my podcast, even if they have never thought about them in this way before. For the first couple of guests, I tested this out and withheld the questions until the interview. In the beginning, some guests were nervous and suggested providing the questions beforehand. After that, I sent out the questions in advance to ensure the guests knew exactly what they were walking into. At the end of every interview, I asked the guests their thoughts on the questions. Most of them told me the questions were interesting and sparked good conversation, and maybe suggested another question. All of them told me they only looked at the questions 20 minutes before the interview. Researchers are busy people, so this was unsurprising. What was surprising was how smoothly the questions flowed in every conversation. So, it seems that researchers can answer these questions pretty easily without much preparation. I have sent these questions to colleagues who are struggling to determine their research program, and they have also found them useful. I'm curious if this trend will continue. Stay tuned to the Ignorance Podcast to find out. Another theory is that to be a researcher, you really need to love your questions and have a stake in them. To dive so deeply into a question, you must really care about it. In every interview so far, I can hear the passion in my guest's voice. All of them can answer surprises and disagreements they care about. Even more striking, all of them have been changed by their research as showcased in my 2025 wrap-up episode. For some, it has changed them in ways they did not expect. For example, Julie Horvath began to care more about her hygiene products because of her research on microbes. Paul Lerner gained perspective on our present moment through looking at the past. My research has taught me to slow down and the importance of perspective. Because these researchers slowed down and looked at a question from many different perspectives, they also are changing people's lives. David Brandman enabled a paralyzed man to communicate with his loved ones. Terry Hernandez is changing the dietary guidelines for pregnant women with gestational diabetes. Kayla Delahaye has changed the U.S. Food Assistance Program by transforming our complex health and food systems for good. I think the goal of research is to make the world gooder, as per Adam Russell, and that takes time. I hope that James Wilson from episode 1 will solve the AI energy problem through his research on energy-efficient AI algorithms, and he's still in the earlier phases of that research. In all of these cases, you, the listener, did not need to know the research field from the beginning. This is a very intentional aspect of my podcast. As someone with degrees in mathematics, Jewish theology, pre-medical, and computational bioscience, people throughout my career have told me some variation of, "Wow, you must be smart. I could never understand anything you do." Or have a look of, "What did you just say?" It seems they think the conversation is over because they cannot understand anything I say. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. It is on me as a researcher to communicate what I do at their level. I've learned that that level is questions. I introduce what I do with questions. How can I help people achieve their goals? How do I help researchers collaborate better for better and more impactful research? Most people understand those questions, tell me it's fascinating, and ask me more questions. They also then understand that I research researchers. There is no need to introduce my current field as the science of team science, which is overly complicated and confusing. There is still value in fields and disciplines in providing researchers with tools to dive deep into a question and to learn how to research. But once you are a researcher, we work on many different types of questions with many different types of people, including non-researchers, that go beyond any one field. I hope you as a listener have learned that you can understand, learn about, and be a part of research no matter the field. Questions are the driving force of research. What research questions do you want to learn more about? Please find all information in the description below. And please subscribe to my Substack at the Ignorance Institute for more content like this. Thank you. This podcast is hosted by me, Mayla Boguslav, and produced and edited by Joshua Mendel. To learn more about this episode's guest and any cited or named people, take a look at the episode description. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ignorance Podcast. Please follow the Ignorance Podcast wherever you get your podcasts to learn about science through research questions.